make sure to communicate and let people know exactly what's happening. And he takes care of things in a timely manner. And in selecting him, I think we're helping to move the district in a forward direction. And not only that, but we're going to help all of our students, not just the top tier, not just the bottom, but we're going to help students from K through 12, 100%. And I think he's the right man for the job at the time, and he's carrying our district with his head high. Mm-hmm. I see him associated with a lot of community events, and he's always got a smile on his face, and his door is open. So if people need to talk to him, they can.
That's good. And
his transparency has been fantastic. We've had a couple incidents happen early on in the school year where a student brought a gun to a football game.
I read that. So was it a student or was it a...
I'm not sure if it was a student. I know that there was a gun at the football game.
So do you know what happened to the student? Or?
I don't know what happened, but I know that...
the former student? Or what?
Yeah, I know that it was resolved quickly, and that the...
Was he a legal licensed
I'm not
carrier?
Sure. I'm not sure about that. I'm not even sure that it was a gun. It could have been a knife.
Okay.
Or some type of weapon. But it was handled quickly and discreetly so that person wasn't put on blast.
Right.
But also inform the community, this is happening, we've taken care of it. And to me, that's important, to know what's happening.
So when an incident happens within the school board's notified about all that? Or?
We're notified, and the community is also notified.
Okay.
Which has been fantastic. I've heard many people come up to me and say this new communication with the schools has been very helpful. A lot of times during lockdowns, that's where students have to go into their classroom or into their building and close the door and not open it for any reason. They're not allowed to leave for recess. They have to stay in there. And oftentimes that's not because something is happening in the school. But, for instance, there was a bank robbery near one of the schools. Mm-hmm. And so they put the schools on lockdown as a precaution. And they told parents what was happening, which was nice. So parents didn't, okay, you're on lockdown. What are you doing? Why? What's going on? So that communication has been firm, and it's been, here, this is what's happening. And we're gonna keep you updated. We're gonna keep you posted, and that's been fantastic.
So there's a lot of things that folks talk about with incidents like that. School shootings are a big thing that we see all over the news. Do you have any thoughts on that? What's the schools doing right now to prevent something like that from happening?
So we work very closely with the police department. We've got a student resource officer in both the high school and the middle school. And the one in the middle school also goes to the elementary schools.
Okay.
And so we've got that student resource officer that knows the kids, and the kids know that officer. We've also got a great security team in the district that takes care of what they need to. Things are being taken care of. Are we immune to things? No.
Nobody is.
No.
Right.
But we're doing our best to ensure the safety of our kids. My kids are in the school.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so
do they have devices on doors and things like that? Or because I know there are like door lock devices that you can. I know the entryways have all been sealed up at all the schools,
right.
So you have to get through the office before you can go through the school.
Right.
So that's good. But are there other devices throughout the schools that teachers can utilize?
I'm not 100% sure. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of that is, if we shared I don't know the safety plan.
Okay.
And that's by design. Because if we shared our safety plan, it would get out in the public.
Right.
And then whoever was going to use it would use it in the wrong way. So our safety plan is strictly for our head of security, the police department, and the superintendent.
Okay.
They're really the only ones that know about that safety plan. And not that others aren't trained in what to do, but they don't know every part of the plan, which is important.
So, on this podcast, I'm a big Second Amendment guy. If the state were to allow teachers, and I wasn't even, this is just something I was thinking of. If the state were to allow teachers, not force teachers, but allow teachers to carry concealed at school. Say the teacher is former military, former police, something like that, highly trained. Would you be in favor for that? Would you vote to allow teachers to carry on school?
Yes.
Okay.
If a teacher or staff member who was trained and licensed wanted to carry, I would have no issues with that. As we all know, criminals don't obey the law.
Right.
And there's many things that are illegal, but still they happen. School shootings aren't legal,
right?
But they happen. And so I think if we had the opportunity to not necessarily arm our teachers, but not make ourselves a soft target,
take that off.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think that would be a step in the right direction.
All right. I agree with that. So is there anything else you want to tell the folks on the podcast before? That's all the questions I got.
So really the only thing, I want to continue to serve the district. So
Okay.
I'd appreciate your vote on voting day.
All right. Can they reach you anywhere? Do you have a website? Or
So if they need to contact me, they can use my school board
All right.
email, which is mike.miller@hhcs.org.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Hello. All right. That's all we have for the interview, for the discussion. I was honestly not anticipating asking the question about teachers carrying concealed. I've read a lot of different things on that, and I know that's actually a hot topic, so I'm glad he answered it. And I'm glad he answered it in a way that I liked. Anyway, I want to say thank you to Mr. Miller for doing the podcast. I've reached out to a few other candidates to do the podcast, and I haven't set anything up. So right now, as far as I know, Mike is the only candidate doing the podcast. If you know a candidate, or you are a candidate listening, and you want to do the podcast, you can email me at truepodcast@gmail.com. We can set something up, do the podcast. It won't be those exact questions, but we'll have a conversation. If you know somebody who's running, say, hey, go do Truman's podcast. Get out there. Let people know that you're running. Any candidate running for office, I'll do a podcast with you. We'll set something up. Election day is November 5th, so it's coming up. It's coming up. The last day to register to vote has already passed. So if you did not register, well, I'm sorry. Try a provisional. But get out and vote. Let's see. Oh, speaking of podcasts, when I was doing research, and I'm going to end it right here. I know it's going on an hour. But when I was doing research for the podcast, for this podcast, I fell into the Huber Heights City Schools podcast. It's called the Warrior Path podcast. And I think that's all over where you can find podcasts. If you want to listen to those, I listened to the one with the new superintendent to get to know him a little better. And he talks all about his early life and different things. It was a good one. And the student, I believe it's a student who does it, does an amazing job. So check that out. Always want to promote cool podcasts. And for us local folks, there's another local podcast. So there's that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for sharing with a friend. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you for listening to Truman's Town Hall. Share this podcast with your friends and neighbors and subscribe today.